I'm live. Excellent. We're about to start the podcast for episode 26. Letting y'all come in. It's a little late, so nobody's up. But if you're just coming in, it's whatever time of the day you're coming in at. Welcome. All right, we'll get my stuff recording. Got my little bit of water. All right. Let's hit it. You got the intro. There stands a man, bold and courageous. Welcome to the Hard Verses Podcast, episode 26. Dash your children against the rocks. There's an interesting psalm. It was actually brought by another preacher student. And it is I call it a hard verse. There is a simple explanation to it, but when you first read it, it is one that makes you think, why is this being written? Why is this even an issue? Why is this put in here as a psalm? And what we're talking about is going to Psalm 138. And I'll just read the whole psalm to you, just to give you I try to give you the background. I try to give you, the context in which it's coming out of. So I would do you a disservice by not reading the entire psalm. Okay, so Psalm 138. I'm sorry, Psalm 137. I'll get it right in a minute. Psalm 137, if you are keeping it with me. Psalm 137. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept. When we remembered Zion, we hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song. And they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. Verse 4. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. Verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. Verse 8. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Verse 9. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. Kind of a barbaric little verse there. Barbaric. Dashing your little ones on the stones. What is going on here? Now notice there's several elements that are in this. And I want to, before we get into that, I actually have a sponsor. That is right. We finally have not a paying sponsor, but something that I'm trying to push. And it's one of the things that I have been working on. It is in the beginning stages, but the materials are starting to go up online on preacherbrian.com. Again, spell that with a Y, preacherbrian.com, spell with a Y. And on that website, which has been renewed and is much better looking than it was, on that page is the new Bible Genius Bible Study. There are two books on it. One is Acts and one is Proverbs. And as they are getting ready, they will be put up online, and they are going to be in PDF format, and they will be able to have fill in the blank. So if you have a congregation that wants to do the study, you just have them download the PDFs onto their phone, and they can fill it out on their tablet or on their phone. Or you can print them out. Be old-fashioned. Just bring the sheets. And I also have all the answers, but those are not published because there is a lot of work of other people which I'm not sure how to deal with. I mean, it's part of my study, but I don't know about putting out someone else's work as far as saying this is my own. But the Bible Genius Bible Study, it takes you chapter by chapter. It asks questions. There is zero commentary. Now I'll repeat that. There is zero commentary. So how in the world are you going to be a Bible genius unless you're going to tell me how to be? Because what I do is I provide you with sources where you can look up the information yourself. It does no good. I have found through experience it does no good to give a Bible study and then give you all the answers. That does nobody. That is, you're learning my stuff. What I want is it to be your faith, your learning, you looking it up. And I give you some clues along the way to where you're not looking for hours. I mean, that's what I do. I look for hours trying to find that juicy nugget of information concerning a verse. Well, I provide the source of the juicy nugget, but you have to do the digging in that. So anyway, the Bible Genius Bible Study on PreacherBron.com. They are going to be released. They will soon be done. A complete set on Acts and a complete set on Proverbs. And so you're welcome. They are free. Let me repeat that. Free. It means you go in there, you download it, you use it. If anybody asks you about it, you say, they're free. I got them off the internet. They said it's okay. The guy who wrote it said it's okay. And I want people to be Bible geniuses. That's what I want. I want people to be not Bible dummies, but Bible geniuses. All right. So, brought to you by the Bible Genius Bible Study. Thank you. All right, back to Psalm 137. Back to our situation with happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. Now, number one, that does not sound very Christian-like, does it not? It is not. It is absolutely a barbaric thing, and when you consider that it's the writer, it is the one that is, one that is led by the Holy Spirit. We understand that all Scripture is given by inspiration of God. That includes the Psalms. That these would be from a godly person. Now, why would this be a part of inspiration? Why would God tell them to do that? Why would he say that happy are those who dash their little ones on the stones? I want to take you to one of the commentaries that I use, a man by the name of Albert Barnes. I can neither endorse nor condemn any of his stuff. I just use some of his stuff. Please do not be the one to say, oh, he's a heretic because of this. I know. I would feel the same way if you took my stuff and said, look, this is the gospel. No, my stuff is not the gospel. The gospel is in the Scriptures, but I use it as a tool. All right. He is stating, and he takes it from the point of analyzing what was in the mind of those who were actually doing battle. Consider this. Those who are among the savage tribes, this is what would be going through their mind. That there would be indiscriminate slaughter of all ages, of all sexes. It would not matter, that war is war. And so as they come in, and those who are carrying out this act, happy are they that dash their ones against some. It's the ideal that what is in their savage minds. So he is portraying what is in the mind of the savage that's coming in. The other thing about it is that this was foretold in prophecy, that there would be a destruction. Now, Jerusalem was taken over, and Edom, who was supposed to be the family of Israel, distant cousins, you might say, just stood there and watched it burn. Didn't help them. Just stood by and said, yeah, tear it down, we don't care. And he said, the time's going to come when you're going to pay for that. And the other thing was Babylon. Babylon was coming in, and yes, Israel was wicked, and they needed to be taken over because they were going into idolatry. Babylon came in, but guess what? Babylon was evil. God was using Babylon to destroy Jerusalem, but then also Babylon didn't turn. So Babylon is now going to be destroyed. So, looking at that, Barnes is going back and saying this is what might be in the mind of them. He also said he might describe the feelings of those by whom it would be done. Their joy, their exultation, and even their barbarity without himself approving of their barbarity. Now that makes perfect sense. Describing what's through their mind, but I'm not condoning it. That would make sense. A godly person will not condone enjoying. Happy are those who dash their children against the rocks. But he is looking inside that barbaric mind. All right. So it's not approving of the barbarity or sympathizing with their feelings or partaking of their spirit. All right. But the thing is, this is what you call an imprecatory hymn or imprecatory psalm, meaning that there is like the curse of God in it. David had several of these talking about how they will be destroyed and they will be dashed and all these things. And they were more so of prophecy. They were not David saying, man, I wish you would be destroyed. And I'm reminded, he said, well, how do you know that? Because when David went against Saul, King Saul, and Saul wanted him dead, and he did him wrong over and over again, was jealous of David. And yet when David had the chance, when Saul was in the cave, using the restroom, it says covering his feet, David had a chance, and he didn't do it. He didn't kill him. He trusted in God. All right, so Barnes is saying this is the mind of the savage. All right, let me take it a little bit deeper. When you look into, our next one is Burton Coffman, which I have tried to quit using Burton Coffman so much because his stuff is just so easy to use. It's kind of like you're asking a question in your head. What does he mean? What does that mean right here? And Burton Coffman said, this is what it means. Like he knows what you're asking. But in the process of that, I become really a mini Burton Coffman, and that's not good. I need to spread it out because if Burton Coffman is wrong, I'll be carrying his water. Well, let's not do that. So as we look at what Burton Coffman says, he says, it says the Israelites, in the words here, the Israelites, even in the circumstances of their captivity, they were going to Babylon took them into captivity. Even their captivity still cherished their hatred of the Edomites, calling for God's judgment against them, even along with his judgment of the Babylonians. And that's why we have Edom and the Babylonians talked about here. Both of them they did them, Edomites, they should have been there for them, but yet they watched the place burn, and they're supposed to be family. All right, so cherish the hatred of the Edomites, calling for God's judgment against them, even along with his judgment of the Babylonians. And it says the basis of that undying hatred is stated in the book of Obadiah. You say, yes, tell me what's so bad. Obadiah is the prophet, the minor prophet that talks about the Edomites just standing there. And it says, in the day that thou in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that strangers carried away his substance, and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one of them. You just stood there with them, like, get him. You tear them all the way down. And so, by the way, one of the notes here about, we see the Edomites again, even in the New Testament, when we find Herod. Herod, the Herod from the New Testament. When Jesus went and saw Herod, that Herod was an Edomite. He was part of that group of Edom. So it's like they continued just kind of stuck the needle to the Jewish people all the way through history. God prophesied that they were going to do that. Okay, so even Obadiah is prophesying that. And then Burton Coffman goes on to talk about the imprecatory nature of this. Again, the writer is probably not taking this to heart, but it's more of a prophecy type thing, or it's probably the judgment of God, the justice of God coming out. That will be coming on those people. There's a justice of God, meaning that if you're evil and evil and evil, eventually the day of reckoning is going to come and you're going to pay for your sins. That's just the way it is. All right, so it says an imprecation of this type invoked against innocent and helpless little children is contrary to the word of Christ. And I want to make this note as well. Christ is not telling us to go take people's children and beat them on rocks. That is un-Christian-like. Okay? So it's contrary to the word of Christ and the holy apostles. I agree. Yet this is an accurate statement of the attitude that was common among the warring peoples of antiquity. And he's going back to what Barnes has said. That was in the mind of the savage. All right? But he also has this. thought this was interesting. He said, there is this factor that entered into the destruction of the children, namely, that with the defeat and death of the parents, the fate of the children was sealed. And in the views of ancient conquerors, it was, in a sense, merciful to destroy the children instead of abandoning them to the fate of starvation or something worse. And he goes on to say that ancient armies did not have medical corps or battalions of nurses to take care of the infants, children of their slaughtered enemies. All right. Now I feel uncomfortable talking about this. I'm glad I'm not at war. I'm glad I'm not having to deal with this. But you can see that being on the mind of those who are in battle. Okay, so that's Burton Kaufman's take on it. Now let's go on, and there's one other. Clark. Well, actually, I got two others. Adam Clark. All three of these are freely available. You can go on studylight.org, and all three of these are on that. I've got all three of them in eSword, and I've got them on a Mac. So I think you have to pay $10 to get eSword on a Mac, but the commentaries are free. All right, so looking at Clark, let me give you what he says. He says, so oppressive hast thou been to all under thy domination. He's talking about the Babylonians and then, including the Edomites, as to become universally hated and detested. Now notice this. So that those who may have the last hand in thy destruction and the total extermination of thy inhabitants shall be reputed happy. Scott, finally someone has gotten them. Somebody finally gave them what they deserved. Happy. I can see that too. And so it says, shall be reputed happy, shall be celebrated and extolled as those who have rid the world of a curse so grievous. And they were. They were so bad, both Edomites and the Babylonians. All right, and so that ideal of finally someone got those evil people, yay, happy are they. That's another way of looking at it. All right, now, he also makes the note, very similar, kind of like backing it back a little bit, like let's not celebrate in the destruction and death of little children. He says, these prophetic declarations contain no excitement to any person or persons to commit acts of cruelty and barbarity, but are simply declarative of what would take place in the order of the retributive providence and justice of God. So far we got 3 of 3 that are on the same page. It's nobody condoning this activity. It's just observation. Observation of what would be going through the mind of the savage. Let's keep going. Going past Clark, we also have, and I encourage you, if you ever want to just be like mentally challenged, go to Keil DeLeach. Again, Keil DeLeach is a free resource. Very scholarly work. Will go into the language of Hebrew. Might need to have a little bit of study concerning the language, but you can make a lot of it out. Keil DeLeach, it talks about, it breaks it down to first part and second part of the psalm. Okay, so you've got different voices. The second part of the psalm supplicates vengeance upon Edom and Babylon. All right, we're on the same page. Again, he goes back to Obadiah, and then he adds in Jeremiah, would also talk about this same retribution and revenge. All right, so they talk about how shameful the Edomites, how they were brothers, they were related, and yet they stood there and watched the place burn. And it says, they're related by descent to Israel, and yet preeminently hostile to it, behaved in connection with the destruction of Jerusalem by the Chaldeans as their malignant, rapacious, and inhuman helpers. You just stood by and watched. Matter of fact, you're like, raise it, burn it down, burn it down. Okay, so we're on the same page there. For those who are watching on YouTube, it's a whole page of stuff. I just said, we're going to skip right past it because it's talking about the Hebrew. Not going to bore you with that. But I will give this last point, and then the hard verse will be yours. It says, when it says, are to be dashed to pieces in order that a new generation may not raise up against the worldwide dominion that has been overthrown. That's part of it, that you don't let the little ones grow up to become fighting later on. It's another aspect. But it is zeal for God that puts us harsh words into the mouth of the poet. is again saying that God is directing this mouth, that the justice of God, that the wrath of God would be even horrible to the little ones. You thought that's just not right. But that's the way it is. That when there is retribution on a country, everybody suffers. You wonder why Christians are so adamant about getting our America right, going back to godly ways. It's because we can see if we continue on the path that we're going, that God's vengeance may just affect us. Like when he burns the country down, is it going to burn our church building down as well? We know it affects everybody in that. Of course, we trust in God. God takes care of his elect. God takes care of those who trust in him. So that's Colin Leach. Which brings me to the point that this is not necessarily a hard verse, but one that you need to do a little digging to get to. And not dig very far. I mean, most of your ones that have done the study on it know it's talking about Edom and Babylon. And if you go back and look at Edom and Babylon and find where those are being talked about, these guys are right. They were both in the wrong, but they were both being used by God to take care of business in Israel. So, that's all I got for tonight. I'm showing it's really late at night. If you have any suggestions or comments, let me know in the comments. YouTube is an excellent place. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And you can also get in there and say, man, that is a great point. Or you can say, I don't get that point. Or can you explain? And guess what? I will answer your email. Please don't start out your expression with, you are such an idiot. You're being, lying, you sack of whatever. Please don't use profanity. Act Christian is all I ask. And if you do, I mean, it can be harsh. It can be critical. But I will let it stand. But if it's offensive, I'll have to take it out. Because I got young people like my kids who read it. I don't care if they think I'm an idiot. They live with me. They understand who I am. But anyway, make comments there. Also, you're on TuneIn Radio. You're in Stitcher. That would be iTunes. Google Play Music, all those you can subscribe to this podcast and get it in your phone the next day or that day, and you will have it there ready to listen at your convenience. Again, you can go to the website preacherbrian.com. Again, spell the Brian with a Y, preacherbrian.com with a Y, and there's other resources including the Bible Genius Bible Study. Please avail yourself to that resource. There's a lot of work went into it. I do appreciate the feedback. You saying, well, you need to cover this, or you missed this point. I'll take it. It's not a final published thing. Let me know, and I'll add your stuff. Will I give you credit? Nope. But I will appreciate it. But subscribe, stay in contact, get connected. Let's promote this. I've already got several new subscribers. Let's keep this thing going. Tell your friends and family about it, especially those you love. And I'll try to keep giving you great content every week. I will see y'all next week. Ask that y'all come back next week and see us. And hope you have a great week. Don't get the flu. Do not get the flu. I haven't touched anybody with it, but it's all around me. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Talk to you next week. Bye. That's all I got for y'all too, YouTube. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. Well, let me look at hold on, since we're not recording anymore. Let me look at my list of what I'm supposed to do. Change the church sign. I think that can wait. Hard verses. Psalm 137 verse 9. Did it. Done. Figure out how to do a click track on HTML5. That's a project I'm working on, guys. If you know how to do HTML5, please let me know. I would love a hand. I'm trying to figure out how to do a 4-part recording on a website using either your onboard microphone or like a USB mic, such as a Blue Yeti, or a USB interface, and record it to the website, line it up with the click track, and you can do 4-part harmonies with 3 of your friends. You can record it, your first part, and then record the other 3. Or I'm not a stickler, you can do your, one guy singing maybe with a guitar. You know, it doesn't have to be Christian music. It can be secular music. Clean, please. And then add a voice. You know, and then a singer might say, "Well, I can sing that part pretty good," and you sing that part. And the drummer says, "I can drum that part," and you add the drums. And a bassist says, "I can do the bass on that." And it's and people can vote and say, I like this ensemble that's being done on this song. You vote for the top songwriters. I've got several songwriters out there who I'm trying to basically help them out. They're good songwriters. It's just they're not getting out. They don't have necessarily the resources to go into the studio every time. So, HTML5, recording multi-track on a website or in a phone as a phone app. Get in touch with me. I know there's going to be a programmer out there. I figure, one of these projects, if God wants it to happen, He will send somebody my way. But I'm sending it out. Let me know. I've got to upload the MIT show, Ministry Involving Technology, a work of the Northwest Florida School of Biblical Studies. That will go up. I can't go to bed yet. I told Guyton, the director, I'd have this up. So the YouTube, Ministry Involving Technology. Matter of fact, we're doing a review on 2 protective cases where you can carry your audio and your video things to conferences and to the airport so that you can record audio like a conference or whatever. Preachers do that. Might want to record yourself or record a show or something. So check out the MIT show, Ministry Involving Technology. It's on YouTube. It's also on Libsyn. You go to the MIT at mit.libsyn. I'll tell you real quick. Hold on a second. I type it in. It's MIT show, MITSHOW, mitshow.libsyn, LIBSYN.com. So mitshow.libsyn.com. That is the main site for the podcast, and it's done in a professional studio. I think you'll enjoy it. All right. And that's all I got going. Y'all stay in contact. I know I got several new subscribers. Get to know me. Send me a message. Let me know what's going on. And unless I'm just like running, I'll go bloom. And I'll say hello, and I'll say hello back to you. Just I'll talk to you, and just let you go, encourage you as much as I can, pray with you if you need prayer. What I'm a minister, and that's my job. I get paid to do that, and I love doing ministry. So y'all stay in touch, and I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to upload the MIT show, and I'm going to bed. So I'll see y'all later. See y'all next week. Bye.